lights, camera, action. It's always a show in Hollywood, especially when the NHL Draft is in town. I got all the coverage and more from downtown LA. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, College Hockey Club play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. My apologies for being MIA the past few days. I was traveling to the City of Angels to cover this year's NHL Draft. That's right. Locked On Devils is on the move once again, this time in Los Angeles. I am inside the Peacock Theater in downtown LA, right near the Staples Center. I am hoping and praying that my connection does not die. And I also apologize for any commotion you might hear in the background. The draft is still ongoing. Why am I recording this episode in the middle of the draft? I will explain that momentarily, but let's get on. The Devils did not have a first-round pick this year, thanks to Jacob Markstrom. Not really going to complain about that, but there is something I am definitely going to complain about. But let's go over today's agenda first before I give my rant. In the first segment, we'll talk about the pending moves that the Devils might make, because I think I am sensing some smoke within the Devils organization, and where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm starting to put two and two together a little bit. I've talked to a few people. We'll see how this pans out. Then we'll hear from first overall pick, Matthew Schaefer. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with his story, and I had the chance to ask him about the Metro and which team he's the most excited to play against, and his answer might please you. And I also had the chance to sit in during Gary Bettman's press conference discussing the new CBA. That will be to close out today's episode. But before we talk about the moves that the Devils might make within the next few days, first, a mini rant. Obviously, the draft process is a little different this time around. It is decentralized. All the teams are back in their respective cities, doing Zoom calls, all that. Never, ever again. Let's never do this. It was a complete flop. So many technical difficulties. The Zoom calls were just awkward and not really all that impactful. Like at times there was just miscommunication, and obviously with Zoom, with video conferences, sometimes they lag. It just went on and on and on. And it was just so irritating, and it just slowed down the entire process. I know the NHL wanted to experiment with something a little different this time around, and I know it saves money, but we cannot go back to this. And the draft took way too long. That's why I'm recording this episode, despite the draft still happening, because it is 8:16 Pacific time, which means it's 11:16 Eastern time. So it's close to midnight and the draft is still going on. That's unacceptable. We got to go back to how things were. And I think a lot of people will agree with me. All right. Rant over. I know a lot of people want to see the Devils make a big move. I'm definitely no exception. People are looking at the Islanders. They got 3 first-round picks, and people are just wondering, when is Tom Fitzgerald going to make a move? Well, in his defense, he already made a move, a salary dump deal involving Eric Haula, but people want to see a little bit more. And based on the conversations I've been having with some of my colleagues over at Pucks and Pitchforks, and also some of the discussions I've had with Jim Behringer of Full Press Hockey, here's the stitch. Here's what I think we can anticipate. I don't think the Devils can make a move until July 1st. Why is that? Because players like Andre Palat and Dougie Hamilton, their no movement clauses will sort of downgrade to a modified no movement clause, meaning there's 10 teams that they don't want to be dealt to, and that doesn't kick in until July 1st. So that's when we're going to have to wait for something big to happen for the Devils. Now, Eric Holla is already off the books, so the first domino piece has fallen. Andre Palat, purely a salary dump. You got to give him off the books. You just have to. It's time. His better days are behind him. I know he's a good forechecker, but let's face it, his production does not justify being paid annually $6 million. Let's be real. I'm really hoping that the Devils can sort of do what the Rangers have been doing, which is clear house with no retention, and you have more money to play with. Dawson Mercer, he's an interesting one. He can be traded at any given moment because he has no clauses attached to his deal. But here's where I'm a little conflicted. Dawson Mercer was a good contributor for the Devils on the bottom six. Players like Eric Holla, Curtis Lazar, Tomas Tatar, Justin Dowling, they produced little to nothing. If I had to pick one player in terms of who was the best contributor on the bottom six, obviously I'm going to go with Dawson Mercer. I don't think you just trade him just to trade him and get more money. That doesn't make sense. So something else has to be in the works. It has to be a package deal for another big time player. As for Dougie Hamilton, I'm probably one of Dougie Hamilton's biggest supporters. And I talked about it in a full-fledged episode. I don't think Dougie is as bad as people are making him out to be. Now, the only way I see Tom Fitzgerald moving on from Dougie Hamilton is if there's something else in the works. Like, if there's a chance that the Devils can get Quinn Hughes and Dougie Hamilton's involved in it, then absolutely pull the trigger for something like that. But obviously, that's a far-fetched idea. I know Quinn wants to play with Jack and Luke at some point. I don't think it's going to happen this offseason, but maybe sometime down the road. Here's the problem. If you trade away Dougie Hamilton just to clear cap, there's going to be a big gaping hole that needs to be filled. And keep in mind, someone like Jonathan Kovacevic, he won't be ready to go at the beginning of the season. So losing Dougie, you lose a lot of offense on the blue line, and also you lose a catalyst on the power play. So you can't just trade him just to get salary cap. That's not a good investment, if you ask me. And he's not as bad defensively as people are making him out to be. I'm not saying he's a two-way player, but he's not as bad as advertised. Let me give you an example. Jonathan Kovacevic, he had more turnovers than Dougie. He led the team in giveaways. But yet, why isn't anyone getting on Kovacevic for that? Just some food for thought. So I don't think you just trade Dougie just to trade Dougie. It has to be similar to Mercer, part of a package deal in which you get a good return. So Andre Palat, he might come off the books, and I think Fitzgerald will have a trick or two up his sleeve. And maybe it's like, okay, I'm comfortable moving on from Mercer, or maybe I'm comfortable moving on with Hamilton because I got a handshake deal for this. And I think Luke might sign for $7.5 million average annual value. You never know. I think Luke does know the situation, but I'm hearing that Jake Allen could earn $5 million annually. I think that's what I saw on social media. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't think he's coming back to the Devils. I think he's going to go where the grass is greener. I think he's going to get himself a bag. So the point I'm just trying to make is, look, I want the Devils to make a big move. I'm no different than you, but you have to be patient. That's just the reality of the situation. Just be patient, and we'll see what happens. All right. We're going to hear from first overall pick Matthew Schaefer momentarily. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller all day long. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's a perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk or on a road trip or at the airport, as you guys know, constantly on the go. Get snackin and get crackin with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Okay, I'm going to play you the press conference from first overall selection, Matthew Schaefer. He played for the Erie Otters out in the OHL. And who else played for the Erie Otters and was also a first overall selection and became one of the best players in this generation? Oh, right, Connor McDavid. I'm excited for Schaefer. As you guys know, I have ties to Erie Otters. I called a game for them a couple years ago as part of a big promotion. So the Erie Otters are really close to me. And obviously, I know Schaefer is going to be playing for the Islanders, a rival team, but I'm sure a lot of you are hockey fans. So without further ado, let's listen in to Matthew Schaefer, the first overall selection from this year's draft. Take a listen.
Congratulations. This is awesome. I'm sure you've dreamt about this moment for your whole life. Did it attract anything at all? Was it not the way you expected? I mean, you essentially went out and talked to your general manager on a Zoom call. Is that a little weird? Is that not the way you expected it to be?
No, honestly, draft's a draft. I'm, just honored to be picked, and I've dreamed about it my whole life. So to hear your name called, it's pretty cool. As you guys could see, I couldn't control the tears. Obviously, thinking about my mom a little extra today. I know she'd be very proud, and I, love for her to be here in person. But obviously, cancer sucks. So she's with me in spirit. So I know she's, not suffering, and she's happy, smiling down, and always with me.
Left side, back row.
Congratulations now that you're an Islander. Just your thoughts on joining the team, the franchise, and going to New York.
Yeah, it's such an honor, and especially be the first overall pick, and Matthew Darsh's first pick. So happy for him, to get the GM job, and very honored to be his pick. But I've heard so many great things about the organization, the team, the players. I know Bo Horvat really well. He heard a lot of great things. Great leader. So I heard they have a great room. They have very skilled players. So I can't wait to get there this week and train. I'm looking forward to it. A little too excited, I'd say.
Right side, fourth row.
Hey Matthew, congratulations. Hey, did you know they were going to put that ribbon on the jersey for you?
No, I did not. I didn't even know I was going to get picked. So to hear your name called, it's pretty cool. You really don't know until they say your name. So it's pretty cool. And this is how high class the organization is. To do that for me, it means a lot, and it goes a long way. And a lot of people can say, oh, it's just a ribbon, but it means a lot for me. And my mom's a big part of my life, and this jersey I'm going to hang up for sure. And that ribbon has a little extra meaning to it. So yeah.
And how do you see the job now? You've been drafted, now you're an Islander, right? Well, the big job is coming up for you, right?
It's only starting. You getting drafted, it's a good step in the process, but it's just starting. When things like this happen, it's really good, but I want to go back to the gym and on the ice and train and work as hard as I can. So when the end of summer comes and this season comes, I'm ready to play at that NHL level. So now it's great. I'll enjoy tonight, and obviously though the work starts tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. Draft's over, and then you put your work boots on to get to work.
Right side, second row.
Matthew, congratulations, brother. It's so amazing, and I can speak for everybody in Erie just how special of a person you are. Being your time in Erie with the Otters, how do you think that's helped you the best develop as a player and as a person, because you've touched so many lives there?
Yeah, it's helped me so much. I'm so happy. My journey started off in Erie, and it's helped me so much throughout the way. Whether it's Billets, all our teammates, our organization. Rest in peace, Jim Waters. He was my owner. He passed away, and Sheila Waters, his wife. They've done such an amazing job with the team, and they will do anything for us to help. Anything they'll. So they're amazing, and such a high class organization. So it's helped me so much. I'm obviously gonna miss it, but yeah.
Right side, standing. Matthew, can you just describe the moment of hearing your name called?
Yeah, very, very, such an honor. Like, hearing your name called, it's every kid's dream to get drafted to the NHL. And, this week hasn't felt, too real. And then when I heard my name called, I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is real. So I'm still a little speechless. But yeah, like I said, wish my mom could be here, but such a great night. They ran it super, super amazing. So to have your first draft and to go first overall, it's such an honor, but it's amazing.
Other one standing on the right.
Matthew, congratulations, and welcome to LA. I've been doing this for over 50 years in this town, and it's great to have the draft here. I want to know, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you since you've been here in this whole process?
Yeah, nothing really crazy. I mean, it's nice. I went to San Diego first. Everyone, loves San Diego, so we went there. I got to, see a bit there, and then came to LA. I mean, nothing's crazy, just very busy. We got to golf at Riviera, so it was nice. I shot 99, broke 100, so I'm a little happy with that. But yeah, I'll take it on a good course too. So yeah, it's amazing. It's been such an amazing experience. But yeah, I guess I got to work on my golf game a bit. But no, other than that, everything's really good.
Right side, second row.
Matthew, right here. Pleasure. Number one pick, to whom much is given, much is required. What are the Islanders going to get out of you?
Yeah, obviously on the ice. I think a lot of you guys have seen me in my, the whole season I played. No, only 17 games. So, yeah, obviously the on-ice ability, a two-way defenseman that can play in all three zones, PK, PP, whatever the coach needs me to play. But I want to be a two-way defenseman that can play all around. And then off the ice, obviously, I like to get involved with the community, whether it's, going to skate with kids. I mean, I'm still 17 years old, so, I'm honestly still a kid too. So, just doing that, giving back to the community, doing a lot of foundations. With everything with my mom, I love doing foundations, and I like to get involved in the community a little extra. So, yeah, but honestly, leader on and off the ice. So, I love to talk. So, if you run into me, I'm probably talking to you for, you think 5 minutes, but maybe an hour. So, yeah, you run into me, I'll always say hi to you, I'll talk to you. So, yeah, whether I'm in New York or anywhere, you guys do so much, and you guys put a lot of hard work in. I think that, people don't see that side, and, we see it, of course, with everything. So, to give you this time, it means a lot.
Left side, second row.
Matthew, congratulations. Just first off, what is your message to Island fans now that you are an Islander? How excited are you to get to Long Island for the development camp?
Go Isles, go! No, can't wait. It's an honor. All the Isles fans here, before taking pictures with them, they're amazing. They're doing chants, so you can see how tight knit that group is with the fans to everyone, and they care so much. Is what you want behind you, when you're playing at home. So can't wait to get started. That's the biggest thing. I can't wait to get started, and can't wait for this long journey together.
We'll take a couple more. Right side, front row.
Hey Matthew, a lot of rivalries in the Metro, including the Rangers, Devils, Flyers. Which team are you the most excited for to play against, and did you have any extensive knowledge on one of those teams that I just listed?
I'm saying Rangers. I heard there's a big rivalry, so I wanna play against the Rangers, and I want to beat them every time we play them. So I know there's a big rivalry. So yeah, I heard they don't like Rangers fans as much. So I think getting that extra wins means a lot, and it's respect too with the fans. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear about that rivalry and play against them.
The fact that he said he didn't like the Rangers, I think a lot of Devils fans can relate to that a little bit. Just putting that out there. You don't have to like the Islanders, but Matthew Schaefer, his story, just so inspirational. I'll tell you one thing. There wasn't a dry eye in the house when he was selected, and it was just a beautiful moment, dedicating it to his late mother. And also Meredith Goudreau, man, I that took me by surprise. Once again, not a single dry eye in the house. Just how can you not be romantic about sports? I know I gave the draft a lot of crap, but moments like that sort of make up for it. All right. We're going to talk about the new CBA and also a question I asked to Commissioner Gary Bettman. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or just watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, let's talk about the new CBA that was recently signed in the NHL. It will not kick in until the start of the 2026-2027 season. So this is subject to change, but here are some of the key terms of the extension. 84 game regular season. The regular season will be increased from 82 to 84 games and less preseason games as a result. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that because some teams just don't take preseason all that serious, and Devils are no exception. It's just a opportunity for young guys to be given a chance to showcase what they got. Contract lengths. Maximum contract lengths will be reduced to 7 years for players re-signing with their current teams and 6 years for those signing with new teams. That's actually quite intriguing. Here's a big one. I like to call it the Vegas Golden Knight loophole. A mechanism will be introduced to prevent teams from exceeding the salary cap during the postseason, addressing the LTIR loophole that allowed teams to stockpile talent. Vegas, your luck has run out. Now you got to abide by the rules like everyone else. Emergency backup goalies. The CBA will address the issue of emergency backup goalies, making them full-time positions. Signing bonuses. The agreement will limit signing bonuses to 60% of the contract value and prohibit deferred salaries. Some other things that were also introduced is that players will be required to wear a neck guard. I know Tom Fitzgerald was a big advocate for that because his son Casey endured a scary incident, and luckily he was able to get fixed up and still continue to play hockey. But those skates are like knives. They are dangerous, and we've already seen a few deaths happen because of it. Doesn't happen often, but still, I think it was a big enough concern that needed to be addressed. And also, I like to call this the Lou Lamoriello rule, which is no more dress codes for the players. Let them express themselves like they do in the NBA. I also had the chance to ask Gary Bettman about possible expansion teams because it's been rumored that Austin, Texas wants a new team. Atlanta, they might get back into the mix. Obviously, you had the Atlanta Thrashers. Players like Marian Hossa made it very popular. But here's what Gary Bettman had to tell me during the press conference.
No, it's not directly related to the CBA, but there's been some talks about expansion teams and some markets being interested. Any word on that?
Yes, there are a number of markets interested. We regularly engage and listen to those expressions of interest. We're not envisioning, certainly for the foreseeable future, in a formal expansion process where we ask everybody at one time to step forward and apply. You've heard me say there are 4 boxes at 10,000 feet that have to be checked. When one of those expressions of interest reaches that level, then we'll take it to the board and see if there's an interest in expanding. It's not something that's being actively pursued at the moment.
Okay, it'll happen, just no time soon, and I think that's reasonable. We'll see how it pans out. Let me know your guys' thoughts. What do you think of the Devils offseason so far? Are you concerned, or are you still holding out for hope? And I will be back in the Peacock Theater for day 2 of the draft. But as for day 1 of the draft here in downtown LA, that's all the time I have for you guys. Thanks for listening. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Trey Matthews signing out from downtown LA. Thanks for listening.